Welcome to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25 Media. We feature top founders, executives, and business leaders from all over the world.
Chad Franzen here, co-host for this show where we feature top restaurateurs, investors, and business leaders. This is part of our SpotOn series. SpotOn has the best-in-class payment platform for retail, and they have a flagship solution called SpotOn Restaurant, where they combine everything from marketing to software and payments all in one. They've served everyone from larger chains like Dairy Queen and Subway to small mom and pop restaurants. To learn more, go to SpotOn.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. At Rise 25, we help B2B businesses to get ROI, clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships through Done For You podcasts. If you have a B2B business and want to build great relationships with clients, referral partners, and thought leaders in your space, there's no better way to do it than through podcasts and content marketing. To learn more, go to rise25.com or email us at support@rise25.com. For the past 14 years, Kenneth Price has been a franchisee with Pizza Guys, and in 2020, he founded Caps HVAC, which started in Oregon and has since expanded into California. Hey, Kenneth, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great to have you. Hey, let's talk about how you got into the restaurant industry first. Prior to getting involved with Pizza Guys, what had you been doing, and did it involve restaurants?
Well, actually, I came to the U.S. when I was 18. And my parents sent me out here to actually play some sports and go to school. And then I started with Pizza Guys. I got a job with Pizza Guys. And I was living with my brother in his girlfriend's house, on the couch. So, I didn't have a place to stay. That's where I stayed. And they lived with his girlfriend's parents. So it was pretty interesting at that time,
So did you get involved with Pizza Guys while you were in school, after you finished school?
No, actually, I didn't go to school at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So my brother actually worked for Pizza Guys. He was a delivery driver. So I hopped on with him, started with Pizza Guys as a flyer boy. I didn't have a car or nothing. Started as a flyer guy. And then, I met the owner. He's actually one of my best friends now at the time. So he was driving nice cars, living a good life. He'd always say, I'm going to pick up my daughter for ice cream. I got to drop my daughter to school, got to do this for my kid, so he lived an amazing life. He traveled, all those things. And then he was really humble, really caring guy. And I said, I want to be like this guy. I was like, I want to be like him. I've never met somebody like him. He was pretty well off, comfortable, and just like he overall enjoyed life, treated everybody with respect and care. So I started with flyers, did flyers a little bit. Then I moved into the inside. After a while, I started working inside. And, coming from there with our background from work, we can work 16, 17 hours, no problem, to coming over here, people barely want to work 6 hours. So it was a big, I felt like I had an upper hand. So, people didn't want to close. I closed for them. I worked 7 days a week, started working more and more, saved up, bought a car, became a delivery driver, became inside. About 6 months after all of that, and actually about a year, somewhere around there, about a year, I became a manager. A year and a half, I became a store manager. And then he had a store that was failing. He put me in that store, said, ready to, trained me. And, be at growing that fast and seeing everybody around me like that, it kind of, I was a little bit too cocky. I was cocky. That's pretty much it. Not a little bit too cocky. I was cocky, like, okay, I'm the best. I know all of this and that. And so he threw me in the store. He started training me and everything. I was a little hard-headed. We lost money. 6, 7, 8 months, losing money a year. We kept losing money. And finally, he's like, you ready to learn, ready to do this? I said, yeah. He goes, so shut the hell up and listen to me and do as I say. And since then, it was game over from there. I shut up, I learned, I called him, asked him questions all the time. He took his time, came out, mentored me, taught me everything he knew. And we grew the store. We hit, broke every record in Pizza Guys, within the whole 2 years, 3 years we were there, it was number one. And then he had another store that was failing, and he's like, now we got a partner. He goes, we go do this. I move out there to Pleasanton, California, and get the store up, and we'll be able to partner up. I was like, okay, perfect, let's do it. We partnered up there. That was our first store. That was a mission because at the time my rent was $1,800 a month. My wife, my kids, all those things. And I ended up losing my house and lost my car. The store wasn't doing so well. So I took the deal. It was $2,500 a month, a year and a half. And that was a tough time for me. It took a while for that store to get off, and we've never had a thought that a store would, you open up a business and like, man, everything just goes wrong. You're not making money. You do this, you're doing all the right things, and it's just the market. It's just time, it's just presence. It's and I didn't learn that till after the fact, but during that time it was just like, man, what am I doing wrong? You're thinking in your head, I'm doing everything I can do. I'm doing everything right. I'm doing much more than everybody else. I guarantee nobody's customer service is as good as mine here. Nobody's pushing out deliveries as fast as us. We're getting it to you in 22 minutes. We're doing everything we can. From customer service to marketing to handing out free pizzas, everywhere, to going to schools, dropping off free pizzas, going to business, dropping pizza. Like, we're not coming in with a flyer, we're coming in with a pizza. So it didn't get no better than that. I mean, in the pizza marketing. But it was the $2,500 a month that I had to make. My rent was $1,800. Moved in with my brother-in-law, and then probably close to about 2 years in the store, it was kind of like, this is it. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm through with this. I can't take it no more. My marriage is in shambles. My time away from my kids. I couldn't be away from my kids anymore. Living with my brother-in-law, so I'm driving an hour there, hour back. And then coming home, I didn't have money, so we were fortunate enough that my brother-in-law took care of the rent and everything. And it was very humbling at that time because I was embarrassed. I come home to my brother-in-law's house, and I said, we agreed that I'll pay him like $250 a month, and I couldn't even pay $250 a month at the time. So that was very humbling for me. And then on top of it is like, I didn't have money to buy the kids milk. I didn't have money to buy the kids diapers. So it was like, it was very, very rough. And like every day I was like, I quit. I'm done. I'm through this. I can't take it no more. Store's not going nowhere. I'm not going anywhere. For some reason I just pushed through. I mean, honestly, to this day, I don't know what it was, what clicked, anything. It's just, I just kept pushing through. And within a month, store just changed, like literally doubled. And then we started to make money, and then we started making crazy money. And it was just like, wow, out of nowhere. I was like, man, I was so close to giving up, but it was like, and it was just, I was giving up. I was done. I was through with it. And whatever pushed me through, I'm glad it did, because I was just a month away from that success.
Wow.
And then from there, we ended up buying San Jose. We ended up building Santa Clara. I went on and bought all the pizza guys in Oregon. So that was kind of the start of Pizza Guys.
Wow, that is an amazing. I wasn't expecting you to tell me that that's an amazing story. What was it that? Do you think it was just the market conditions at the time that were affecting you, or did now that you think back on it, did you do something different?
Well, now that I wouldn't have done anything different. Anything I did, I wouldn't have done anything different. It really was just the market. When you're in an area like Pleasanton, people over there, they're not wealthy, but they're super comfortable. Mm-hmm. Meaning they got, if they want to pull $30,000 out of the bank, they can pull $30,000 out of the bank, like, today. Mm-hmm. Right. So they're very comfortable. They're well off. They're very good with their money, things like that. Right. It's a very great city. So, they choose what they want to eat. Right. Or the kids want to eat, they get, so that's really what it was, and you have to build that relationship with them. You have to build that time with them. You have to really, build those one-on-ones with as many customers as you can. And that was really it. You really have to, it's pizza guys. Let's go have pizza guys. Let's go see Ken and at pizza guys, and it was really, so that was it. And just the timing, you got to add one customer at 700 this month, 710 next month, 720. You got to keep adding and building your one-on-one relationships with them so everybody knows who you are. And once we built that foundation, after 2 years, then it stuck, and that was it. Everybody just kept coming and coming, and you couldn't even market anymore.
Wow. So we've got a testament to kind of your endurance and you're willing to stick to it, things like that. What do you think, since that time where maybe you were, let's say you were, the ground is here and you're here, let's say, you're below ground. By the time you kind of got even, what do you think has been kind of the key to now where you've taken over more stores and things like that? Is there kind of a process that you have that like this works?
Yeah, absolutely. There's, when I come into a new store, most of the time I'm already coming in with like figuring out like, okay, I'm expecting to fire pretty much like 90% of the staff.
Why?
I mean, why?
Yeah.
Is because most of the time they're so used to, you can't retrain them. You almost can't, right? It's not like in my HVAC company, if I come into a guy, they're much older, right? In the pizza industry, we're dealing with a lot of younger kids, right? And a lot of younger kids, especially today, they have a mindset and they're right. They know it, versus, in my HVAC company, I'm dealing with 35, 40, 50, 52-year-olds, so I can come in, they have families, they're more understanding, they have responsibilities. They have a little bit more experience, right? And so I can come in and retrain them and they'll do great, right? They'll say, okay, that's how you want it. We'll take care of it. No problem. Versus when I go into the pizza restaurant, I'm like, well, we'll do it like this, do it like this. They're like, it's harder to do. I'm like, yes, but it's better. It's better for production. It's better for service. It's better for all these things that, they want to take the easiest way out. You know what I mean? So it gets kind of, you literally, I feel like you have one bad blood in there, and then it just kind of spreads like a disease,
Yeah.
And that's a very bad thing when you're trying to build a brand, trying to build something, to make it. You have to have a great culture. You have to have a great vibe. You have to make sure, hey, come into work. And I always tell them when I come in, I'm like, look, work is work. We come in, we work. If it's slow a little bit, you guys want to hang out, talk on the phone, call me. I'll come. I'll buy you guys ice cream. We'll chill out and hang out if it's slow, right? I have no problem with that, right? But when it's busy and it's time to get down, like I want you guys to put it down. That's how I am. If you're chilling, everything's done, and it's like 9 o'clock. We don't close to 11, and everything's done. I care less if you're sitting on your phone, chilling, watching TikTok or whatever you're doing. Doing your homework right there, whatever. It don't matter. But that phone rings, take it, boom, take care of that customer service exactly how I want it, right? Those are the things I'm strict on, but I'm not completely strict in the business, right? Because I give a lot of leeway. But man, it building that culture is so important for me, and having the vibe is because the number one thing I tell them is when you come into the store, when you come into work, it's not like, I got to come into work. I got to do this. I got to do this. I want you guys to think of this as getting away from the outside, right? I want you guys to come in here and enjoy it. I want you guys to this is where you focus on work. You're hanging out with everybody. You're not focused on all the problems that's going on in the outside world. So let's kind of think of it like that, and let's try to put this together. So we don't want to be talking, we don't want any chit-chatting, chit-chatting meaning like talking about somebody else or this employee or that. Keep it great, keep the vibe great, keep the culture great, and it makes a tremendously big difference,
Do you think that when you go into a restaurant where you sit down and order food, you can kind of feel the culture or the vibe, if all the employees hate it, you can kind of tell. Do you think
Absolutely.
that affects the customer even in this kind of an industry where it's more delivery?
Yes, absolutely. Is because your drivers, 60% of our sales are delivered, which means our drivers are the only ones that mostly interact with the customers out there, right? So if our driver is not presentable, he doesn't look good, he's not happy, he doesn't get taken care of, all these type of things, he's going to go out there like, here's your pizza, and then just go, We want them to go out there and say, "Hey, how you doing? Awesome. I got your order right here. Here you are. Yeah, awesome. Oh, Rams jersey. Oh man, we should next time don't call us. I mean, I want them to, I want them to interact with the customers. I want them to, hey, spend a minute, talk to the customers. You know what I mean? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I want them to walk up with a smile, walk up happy, enjoying it, because it's a very big part of they're an extension of us, right? So they're our image when they go to that customer's house. So I believe it is a big part of it.
So when you open up a new store beyond kind of establishing that culture that you want, what else are some of the keys to, long-term success? I'm sure there's a lot of competitors in the pizza industry. Does Pizza Guys speak for itself, or, what do you have to do to kind of establish yourself within this new kind of market that you're in?
So the big thing is I look at is when I come in and I take over an existing store, I always I look at 5 things that I can fix that will drastically change the way the operation runs, and that equates to money, more money, right? So that's what I look at first, right? Because of course we're going into the business for more money. But to answer your question, for the long term of it is we look at, I don't ever pay attention to what competitors are doing. I don't ever pay attention to competitor pricing or anything like that. If these guys are running a promotion for $10, $7, $12, I could care less, right? Because if I'm giving you the service that you don't find anywhere else, and I'm giving you, some good pizza, we're not the best, but we're good, right? We're good enough. You could walk into a beautiful store. My drivers are awesome. Service is outstanding. I can charge you $16 a pizza, $17 a pizza easily, right? And for a medium pizza, I can charge you $26 for a large pizza, right? You're gonna pay it, right? And if I'm building that foundation with you too, where it's like every time you walk in, I'm like, hey, how you doing, Chad? You want your pepperoni sausage today? Yeah, awesome, definitely. Here you go. Hey, I made you a garlic bread too, man. I want you to try this out. I mean, that right there, that. How many pizza places would give you something, right? Every time I do it, I say, take a pizza card and I call it internal marketing. So I have free garlic bread cards, free cookie, free munchies, free cinnamon twist. And I put it in the box and say, next time you order, you have a free garlic bread, you have free bacon bread. So I do that all the time because how many places give you something for free?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, something I've built. I go above and beyond. And I think that's the most important thing, especially when you're in the restaurant industry and right now, because nowadays you walk into a lot of restaurants. I just took my daughters out to a breakfast restaurant. They missed school for a few hours. They wanted to go for breakfast. I was like, let's go. And, the service was pretty bad. There's no customer service. There was no greeting. There was, it was like waitress gave our food and never came back. And we're like looking for my kids wanted some apple juice and something. And I'm like, there was nothing. But am I going to go back? Yeah, probably so. Right. But there's nothing, until I find another breakfast place, that has better food, better service. They have good food. But nowadays you don't find great customer service, and I think that's going to change as soon as the employee market changes. I think that's going to change drastically to where people are going to see so much better services. And in the next few years, you're going to be competing, or struggling if you don't keep up with that, because once that employee market changes and employees are actually coming to work, that now customer service is a big factor. Now the key players, the big players that play that customer service game is going to win.
So your story with Pizza Guys is incredible. Tell me about Caps HVAC and kind of tell me about the services you provide. Just kind of the general customer type information, and what led you to start it.
I mean, we do everything from commercial, residential. Install everything. Heating and cooling. We do. We actually just expanded Caps HVAC into Caps HVAC and remodeling. Now we remodel bathrooms, we remodel houses. We're actually remodeling restaurants right now. So that we do everything in heating and cooling. How we started is another funny story. I was in Oregon actually I was in Oregon. I just moved to California in February. But during that time, I called my buddy up, and he was my boss at the time from Pizza Guys. And, I've been trying to do a deal with him, because he's one of the smartest guys I know, he's so much knowledge in business and everything. And I think, I've always wanted to partner with him. He's always taken care of me, always helped me out, everything, and, I know if I partner with him, if I can do 5 million in sales in 2 years with him, I can do, 10 million in sales. Right. So I always wanted to do that and build something big. So I called him up and I was like, hey, let's do something. He's like, okay, well, here's what you do. He goes, you build a business in 1 year, do 1 million in sales, make it profitable, and we'll do it together. So like, okay, 1 million in sales, make it profitable in 1 year. I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I couldn't think of anything I can build that fast to do it that fast. And we kept talking for about a month and a half, trying to figure out what business going. I was like, okay, give me do an auto shop. I can do an auto shop, right? Give me do this. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, I'm going to do an auto shop. I'm going to do an auto shop. And he goes, no, he goes, do HVAC. Like, I know nothing about HVAC. He goes, yeah, do HVAC. I think it's pretty good. I see a lot of trucks, a lot of things. You see one guy's there, they make pretty good money. They charge a lot. I was like, okay. So I started looking into HVAC. I didn't know nothing about it, right? I had to make it profitable, so I couldn't hire a really good guy in the beginning, right? So I started watching YouTube, started studying, started reading forums, started reading about it. In about a month and a half, I felt confident, like I can do this. So I called my cousin. I was like, hey, let's, I was like, come, let's do this. And he doesn't know anything about HVAC too, but he's, this guy he'll do anything. Like, let's go, let's learn it. Let's do it. He goes, we'll make some money. He goes, yeah. He goes, let's do it. I was like, okay. So I call him up. He comes down and we do it together. And we go into a customer's house. We don't know anything. We're like trying to figure out what's wrong. We go back out. We're YouTubing it, coming back in, YouTubing it, fixing it. Yeah. And we would fix it. And if we couldn't fix it, we wouldn't charge the customer. Literally, we'd come back the next day, fix it again. And then whatever it was, then we would break even just to keep learning, because, we couldn't charge the customer $400 and we were there for, 3.5 hours. And we're like, no, we couldn't do that. We charge them for an hour. Just, I was like, it should have only taken an hour, but that's all we're going to charge you. But we wouldn't tell him we're learning or anything, and we would do that, go in and out, and he would go outside in the car and YouTube it and tell me what's going on. I'll tell him, okay, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. Then we would switch out, then we would come back out, meet together, go through it together, put our ideas together, go back in, fix it. Boom. I was like, oh yes. And then we started getting better and better and better. Now we walk into, an HVAC, problem or a customer's house, and we can just hear it, see it, and know what's wrong. Right. But I mean, that's how it started. Then we, I hired a project manager. He was like maybe 52 years old, something like that. Great guy, one of the best. Knew everything about it, knew everything. Then we started landing some big contracts, T-Mobile contracts, ARCO. So we started doing big projects, massive build outs, new build outs, reconstruction, remodeling. And from there, we just grew. I mean, within our first year, we did 1.2 million. Our second year, we did 2.5 million. So it grew fast, 2.5 million. And it was very profitable, very, very, very profitable,
Wow.
So then yeah.
You are crazy.
Yeah.
So what mode? I mean, you're already, you've been with pizza guys for more than a decade. So you're kind of, things were going terribly, but now they're going okay. What motivated you to kind of stick with this when you admittedly didn't know what you were doing?
Because I really wanted that. I wanted to be big. Like I want to do, I want to end up, having a company, doing 20 million in sales, 30 million in sales, I want a big company to where, it kind of, because I think the bigger you get, the easier it gets, and I think expansion is a lot easier. So you can expand all over, especially something like this. It's so easy for me to expand in California. Next year I'm going to be expanding into Texas. So it's so easy to expand, especially when I have one central system, central office. But I don't know. Honestly, I don't think about it too much.
You just kind of like grind through it and get through it, and then afterward you're like, oh.
Yeah. I'm just like, Okay, I think it's more I love the rush. I
Hmm.
love the I love the rush. I love it when like everything's piling on me. I'm working, 18-hour days, we're starting early in the morning, sometimes we would take an install which would take probably now it would take 3.5 hours, 4 hours. We were taking like 10, 11 hours. We would be working all through the night. We're asking customers, hey, you okay to have us here late? They're like, yeah, no problem. We'd be staying till like 1 a.m. putting everything together, and we get there and everything is in and we're like, what did we miss? What did we miss? We missed just a simple wiring, and we're like, oh man. And it took us like 3 hours to figure out that one wiring. And it was tough. It was really tough. I mean, a lot of times you sit back and like, man, what am I doing? I can't figure this out. We spent 11 hours just on this thing, and there's no way, we're missing something. So take another 3-4 hours to figure it out. I mean, there was so much problems that we ran into, but we always took care of the customer, made it right. I mean, we ended up having like in the first year, we ended up having like over 125-star reviews. We built them. Yeah, so our online presence was crazy good.
I thought your pizza guy story was incredible, but this one is almost just as incredible, if not more so. What
Yeah.
um how did COVID affect you guys with pizza guys or with the with Caps HVAC?
COVID affected us by the employees. The employees were, they wanted time off, all these things. Everybody, they didn't want to work. That was a lot of it. But as for sales wise, we grew, almost 20% across the board. For the HVAC side, we accelerated tremendously, because everybody was at home, they had projects to do, they wanted to do this, using their AC, their heater more. So we were busy. I mean, for sales wise, it was great. From employee side, it was hard because a lot of our guys were working overtime, double time. That was kind of it. And
Mhm.
so that was, but yeah, it was good making more money, but having a lot more problems on the employee side because everybody, they needed time off or, take care of their families and things like that.
Did you what would you say are some of the things that have made you successful enough to expand from Oregon then to California?
Um, so some of the things that were is because I I built everything I do. I have a system. I built a system, right? So because everything is once you have a system, just follow step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're good, right?
Hmm.
So I have a system for everything, and creating a system and writing it down and putting it all together. I think that was the key points to it, versus just keeping it in my head and trying to play it out as it goes. Having something to go by. I think that was a big part of it. And then the next part of it was, being able to understand that paying more for better guys that know their stuff and can do it.
Hmm.
It might, some people say, oh, this guy's, you know, $35 an hour, and that's high already. That's expensive. And this other guy's $45 an hour. Why do we pay this guy when we can save $10 an hour? In actuality, that $45 an hour guy does it in half the time. No mistakes, no calls back. Customer service is great. He's who you want to represent you. So it actually makes you more money in the long term. So by me understanding that part, I think that was a big factor in it. Especially I can come in right now, um, you know, h- by open my HVAC here, put one guy that's really good, even though he makes like 45, $48 an hour, and I know I have no problems, no worries. I don't have to show up. I don't have to call him. He wakes up in the morning, does what he needs to do. Office will call him if they need anything. Send him to this customer. This customer. It's 5:30, and he's like, he's supposed to be home, but we got an emergency call that he needs to go back to or go take care of another technician's job that they couldn't finish. So that was and he's like, he'll go do it. He won't say, oh, it's 5:30, I gotta go home, things like that, right? He knows he'll be taken care of. He'll know if he needs Friday off and he says, hey, I need Friday off, he's gonna get Friday off. I mean, he knows, hey, I need a week off with pay. He knows he's got a week off with pay, right? Well, when we need something, the company needs something, he goes, no questions asked. I mean, even if he has to stay from 6 a.m. to 3 a.m., he's gonna do it. And I
Hmm.
think being able to find people like that and taking care of people like that is a big part of my growth. Very big part of my growth.
What is the biggest difference in running a, maybe you already talked about it, maybe it's just the type of employees or the age of the employees you have. What's the biggest difference between running a Pizza Guys or a bunch of Pizza Guys companies?
Difference between running Pizza Guys and Caps H in an HVAC company, you said it is the age and the responsibility level and the discipline level of the employees. When you're the HVAC side, you're considered pros because these guys are pros, right? And a lot of my guys, they didn't go to school for it. We train in-house, right? But you have to be able to want this. You have to be able to want to get dirty. You have to be able to want to learn, right? And versus in the Pizza Guy side, they just come in to look to get paid, right? I just need a job. I just need this, you know what I mean? Versus really understanding that with Pizza Guys, you can grow, right? You can grow. I mean, most of the Pizza Guys owners, they started from nothing. We started from nothing. We were drivers. We were flyer guys. You know what I mean? They don't understand that in the Pizza Guys, in small business like that, you can grow from being a driver and insider to actually owning your own Pizza Guys. And Pizza Guys helps make that possible. Like the corporation is really amazing about that, and they don't, even if we tell them or things like that, some reason it doesn't click in them, and I I think that's the biggest difference of it. I mean, a lot of the pizza stores, I have to have a really good manager, really strong general manager versus my HVAC side. I don't even have a manager. I don't, unless when I have big projects, then I have my project manager there, of course, controlling the entire project, just making sure everything's in place, T's and I's are dotted and crossed. But other than that, I don't call my guys. My office don't really call my guys. We don't ask them, hey, where are you at for this customer? They take care of everything. They do their own lunch breaks, their schedule, things like that, and you don't have to call them and check on them. You don't have to call them and say, why didn't you do this versus, the pizza restaurant, you're pretty much, you're babysitting a lot.
Yeah. Do you ever have any employees who kind of recognize the growth opportunities, or is everybody just kind of like, I'm here until I can figure out what to do next?
No, you get a few. You do. You get a few. The sad part about it is you get a few, but then they come with a few things that just hold them down, and they hold on to that. You know what I mean? And they have so much potential, and you can tell them they have so much potential and be like, hey, I want to help you get to this level and do this and give this for you and do this for you. Right. But you need to do this. And they just don't want to do it. They're like, oh, I can't work on Sundays. I can't work on Saturdays because of this. I'm like, man, you do that for a few years. You get your growth, you make your money, and then you can take your weekends off, But they're like, I want the weekends off. My friends are doing this. And I'm like, you don't realize, just 5 years, put 5 years into it, do great, become a great manager, run your own store, and then eventually you'll be good at it. You save up some money, you go do your own, and then you can take all the weekends off you want, And then they don't understand that. They want it now. I only want to work 4 days. Like, work 6 days. Work more, and work your weekends. That's where the stores are the busiest, where we need you. So that you have some things that hold them back, but the few that do, they end up, and it's less than a handful. I mean, I've been in the industry for a long time. It's less than a handful. It's really hard until like later on we get a lot of employees that come back. They leave and go try another job and like, oh, this, everything's so set. Well, you can't make your own schedule at Starbucks, right? Versus with us, you can say, oh, I don't want to work Thursday and Friday. I only want to work at nights, So we're very flexible on those things, and they don't realize that's a big thing, right? So, but we've had a few that gone on to. I mean, we just had San Diego stores pop up, and they were a buddy of ours, another franchisee. His employees that were there, his managers actually went on to San Diego and actually opened their own stores. And then now they're actually within 2 years they're multi-store owners. Doing probably over $2 million in sales. So, it's very rare, but it's very it feels so good when they do really understand that, because it's like they're doing great, and you want to see people do great around you. So
you've got all these things going on. When you came here to play sports and go to school, would you have ever imagined that you'd skip going to school and now you're you got you got two kind of companies that you're working with and that you're basically in charge of?
Yeah, so I never thought that, I never thought I would make it to this level. I mean, I lost, because when I lost everything the first time, I lost everything again in 2013. I mean, you don't give a 23-year-old $150,000 a year and a bunch of money to blow. So I started buying cars, taking trips, doing all these things. So I lost everything again in 2013, and then I rebuilt everything back from there. But I never thought I would make it to this level. I never dreamed of being really, I would say it like, in the beginning, I told him I want a Ferrari. Eventually, I want to buy a jet. I want to do all these crazy things, with my life one day. And, so when I first made a ton of money and everything, I did that. I lost everything, I went under. And then, I was grateful that my brother-in-law had my back again and moved in with him, did the same thing again, rebuilt it again. But, now I'm doing okay. I'm comfortable, on a few properties, few companies, all these things. I'm, relaxed, be able to pick up the kids when I want, take the kids to school, do what I want. I don't want the fancy cars. I don't want anything. I just want to be comfortable. I just want to relax. I want to fish, take care of my stuff, take the kids out. That's it. Just comfortable. I just want to be comfortable and enjoy life. But yeah, it was never, I never thought it would be a reality.
I have one more question for you, but how can people find out more about both Pizza Guys and Caps HVAC?
So Caps HVAC California, we have our website, capshvac.com with a K. Caps HVAC in Oregon, I actually just sold in August. So I sold that in August. I think they just converted the name to like Valley View or something like that. I sold that, and then Pizza Guys, pizzaguys.com. Actually just another thing. I'm actually in escrow right now. I'm closing escrow in the next 2 weeks. I just sold my 2 Portland locations. 2. So I just sold the last 2. Yeah. So I'm actually at this point, I'm out of Pizza Guys in like 2 weeks. And then I sold my Caps HVAC. I'm building a massive one in California, up and down California. So this is going to be all my focus, my one big, and this is my retirement.
Okay. So that's kind of your goal for, that's kind of what that's what you're moving toward in the future then, this big one in California.
Yes, absolutely. This big one in California, and we can expand. We can use this to expand anywhere. We can put a location in Florida, Arizona, Texas. We can just go to a place where we think is going to be good. We have our office staff already, which is, all where we're at. And then all we have to do is put in a technician on ground, put everything together online presence, put some marketing together, and we're all good. Mobile.
I was going to ask you, my final question was going to be, what are your goals for the future? But there you go. That's it. Yeah, instead, I'll ask you, when you order a pizza from Pizza Guys, what do you get?
When you order a pizza?
When you personally order a pizza from Pizza Guys, what do you get?
When I order a pizza from Pizza Guys, I'm a cheese guy. I just love cheese. That's it. Just give me a, red sauce with cheese. That's it. I think if you want to compare pizzas and see which pizzas are good, you gotta, it's gotta be, you gotta taste the dough and the cheese, and those are the most important things, because toppings, they all about the similar, same, they're a little bit of a difference, depending on the brand and the quality of the pepperonis and things like that. But you want to taste the pizza, taste the dough, and taste the cheese. And with Pizza Guys, we make our dough fresh, and our cheese is 100% whole milk, so it's good cheese, expensive cheese, but I'm just a cheese guy, like just plain cheese with nothing else on it. No ranch on it, no Parmesan on it, peppers, just cheese.
Very nice. Very nice. Hey, Kenneth, it's been great to talk to you. I really enjoyed hearing your stories. Incredible. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having me, man.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
You too. I'll see you.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25. Visit rise25.com to check out more episodes of the show and to learn more about how you can start your own podcast.